Brian, I appreciate you taking the time to do this and help us get a better understanding of what you guys are going through. My question right now is, how many different workouts have you put together for the guys, given that I know in the past different position groups have different needs? And how many different workouts are you doing a day because of that?
Yeah, right now we're just doing the workouts are set out. We have a program for those who have gym access. And within that, we have programs for some of the guys that have some different modifications. Some guys work better with different movements, so we've accommodated for them with that. And then we have a program for those who have no gym. And basically with that, we're just get a backpack, make it as heavy as you can. So right now, the only one that we're going through is the one that's the no weight room lift. And while we're doing that, those who have a weight room are in their weight room going through the plan that we've sent them. And it's all individualized cards. It has their weights on it. And we're coaching them just the same. But we're going through and treating the no weight room lift because that's the majority of our guys right now. We're taking that one as the team lift.
You got a follow-up to that, Andrew?
I know everything that they're doing is all voluntary, but how are you keeping track of the workouts that they're doing? Is there something that they submit to you via email or something saying that they check that list off for that particular day?
I mean, that's the nature of voluntary, where we can't do that. There's no reporting, no attendance taken. It's a voluntary training session as if we were in a discretionary period. So that's just the nature of where we are by the ACC's guidelines.
Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us. Mac mentioned that guys that were kind of self-starters would be able to handle this situation, where his concern was with guys that maybe needed a little bit of a push. From your perspective, what is your biggest concern with the situation in terms of dealing with the players?
I think having the scheduled lift times, even though they are voluntary, give those guys, who would struggle to get it going on their own, a little bit more structure, and that's helped with them. My biggest concern is that we're just not utilizing our equipment. We've got an incredible weight room here, incredible resources, and we're just not able to use those pieces of equipment. And, I think we're doing an unbelievable job, and we've set goals. We want the guys in shape. We're really going to attack a lot of single leg work. So our big men will come back better at single leg squatting than they left. And for me, that's a great goal. Our skill and combo guys, they're very good at that single leg work. So for them, we're trying to just push them as much as we can and continue those qualities that we've already built.
Anything to follow up with, Greg?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Ross, you're up.
Hey, Brian, what kind of went into the process for you formulating this plan? Was it a matter of scrambling kind of late because it came so unexpected? And what was the process of you and your staff kind of putting together this impromptu workout thing that could last multiple months?
Yeah, at first we knew that there'd be guys who had no weight room access. So we immediately wrote a program up and ran with kind of the idea of use things that they have. We know everyone has a backpack. We know everyone has access to heavy books, water bottles, things like that to put in the backpack. So we immediately wrote that program. And then we had a spring break program, and we just extended that for the extra week and then adjusted from there. So it was fairly easy as far as establishing that. And then once we kind of realized that this might be a little bit more of a long-term situation, we wanted to, as quickly as possible, kind of get them back into the routine, give them a schedule, and we run the lifts just like we do here, where I'll let the guys kind of be unmuted. They'll be talking, and then right when 3 o'clock hits, I mute everybody. I blow my whistle. I tell everyone to grid it up just like I would if they were here. And then I start the warm-up, and I put it on a cadence, and every set is on a whistle, and we coach every set. So yeah, that's kind of where we're, how can we do that piece of it better? How can we get a little bit more of a complete program is what we're starting to look at now. But that first thing is just establish that routine and then coach. I want everything done right. So having our eyes on them and coaching them hard is a big piece of that as well.
Anything to follow up with, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, and what's the kind of schedule with you versus and the other coaches in the different position groups? Because you have 120 guys trying to work out. You can't all be on the same call. How's that kind of work out?
We are on the same call, which has been in this time of the year, that's perfectly fine. And with the reduced equipment, so like I said, we're doing a lot of single leg work, which is across the board excellent, especially for our big men who are a little bit more challenged by it. So that's been great for them. But yeah, we've got them all in one call. And if it goes a little bit longer, we might need to start looking at breaking that up as we start to incorporate plyos and a lot more speed development if this goes into the summer. But right now, this is a spot where we're working general strength to some degree. So it fits right now to keep everyone together.
Luke, you're up.
Hey, Coach Hess, obviously this is not the situation you'd want, but are there any ways that this could somehow help your team, whether that's in mentality or other strength training that being on campus couldn't give you, or what positives do you see potentially coming out of this?
I think from a programming standpoint, the fact that it is a lot of new movements, a lot of different things for the guys. So I think we're going to get a lot of single leg work and a lot more core work. That's just a little bit unique. So you could take that piece of it. But again, our equipment is as high level as you can get. So, but we're going to be very healthy. We're coming out with no spring ball. So the guys are going to be very healthy going into the summer. It might be the only takeaway from it, but I think everything is kind of making the best that you can in the situation. And I think that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to do it the best in the country with the setting we have and push them as hard as we can with the rules that we're trying to stay under and the equipment that we have.
Can I follow up real quick, Jeremy?
Yep.
So Patrice Renee posted on his Twitter this kind of Instagram story saying no one else in the country is doing this. Unlike spring ball, where every college would be on campus doing their routine, do you see this kind of having this like kind of team mentality of we're out here training when no one else is that you maybe think your team can adopt?
Yeah, we have, AJ Blue, a member of my staff, calls it, the shooting star, that event that kind of, you can't predict when it's going to happen, but when it happens, it brings the team together. And our goal is to always have an environment so when something like this happens, our guys all feed off of it and they have the mentality where they want those things and they're looking for edges. And I think that's exactly what we've got here where, the amount of guys we have on our training sessions is incredible and we are quick to do it. And we have the right kind of guy who are committed. We worked around their schedule. We have a great academic schedule. They've done a great job setting us up for that. And we just rolled with it. And I do think the guys are getting behind the fact and that's keeping guys coming into the chats and pushing each other. And it's a very positive thing.
What else do we need, gang? I don't see any other hands raised. Up there we go, Greg. Hold on a second. Go ahead.
Brian, some of the talk around the Olympic decision was that some athletes said they didn't feel as though they'd have enough time to prepare adequately. I know you have a lengthy summer conditioning program. We're 5 months out from the season opener. How long do you need to have the players at UNC working with you to feel comfortable about safety and make sure they're prepared for the season?
Yeah, and that's our biggest goal is we want to make sure that they're have a good foundation of condition, a good foundation of strength. So whenever they do get turned back to campus, we can roll right into our training and kind of have a good base already laid down. And again, that's stuff that's easy to do in this situation. I think 8 weeks is kind of what you're looking for and what you want. That's kind of our traditional summer. But if we can get any more than that, especially with not having spring ball, and then again, not being on the ideal equipment and things like that, you want as much as you can, but I think if you shoot for 8 weeks, I think we'll be in a good spot, and then trying to get the adjustments so that we can get as many as possible would be ideal.
Jonathan Alexander, you're up.
Hey, Brian, thanks for doing this. About what percentage, and Jeremy too, about what percentage of your guys didn't actually have weight equipment and had to be under the program without weights?
Yeah, and it's obviously was a sliding number where it started looking, pretty good, and we had a lot of guys who had gym access, and then it slowly started as things closed and more of those, just the social distancing kind of came into play. We're putting together phase 2 right now, so we're reaching out to all the guys and readjusting all that. I think we're probably at 60%. Now it's probably getting down to 25% that have gym access, whether it's someone in the neighborhood with a garage gym or kind of a personal trainer type setup or a home gym themselves. And you got a varying amount of equipment. Some guys have a full setup. Some guys just have a bench and a bar. But, it's definitely more guys are getting into the situation where they're doing the no weight room setup.
And if I could ask a follow-up, is there anything you worry about when you're I can't imagine that there's been situations that you've been a part of that are similar to this, but is there anything that you worry about when you aren't able to get in with the players and have, contact, like normal contact with them as opposed to what's happening now?
Either from a training standpoint, obviously the equipment and the things that we can do. This has actually been, I see the guys so often, basically every day. Rarely do I ever need to call them to tell them anything because I see them so often. So it's actually been kind of different where I've been on the phone with a lot more guys and just touching base with them, and more of an opportunity to ask, hey, what's going on? How's this? Is there anything I can do to help you? And my staff as a whole has been just reaching out every day and just talking to guys. And I think that's been a little bit different where I've gotten a lot more guys on the phone and kind of had extended conversations with them that normally I just see them so often. There's really no, that just doesn't happen.
Andrew, go ahead.
Hey, going back to what Greg asked about how long it would take you to prepare for, I guess, a fall camp. Mac mentioned last week the possibility of maybe some kind of a mini camp at some point this summer in place of spring practice. If, for the sake of discussion, if you guys were to come back, let's say in the middle of May, how soon afterward would you be comfortable having the guys take part in like a 10 or a 2-day or a 2-week mini camp?
I think that would be, the coaches do such a good job of progressing those practices and shaping those practices. I think that you could, if we're smart with what we're doing and we have the foundation of conditioning, so guys aren't going to come back and be just totally out of shape. And that's where you put yourself in a big position for injury. But if we take a slow progression and manage that as far as what we're doing and what we're asking the guys to do, I think you could start that right away. I don't think that's something you'd have to have a progression into because we are in shape. We've got all the guys are running and I know they're running. So we'll be in a good spot with that. It's just a matter of progressing that and being smart.
Trying to find Heather's deal. Heather, are you on?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Brian, it's Heather Dinich at ESPN. I wanted to ask how much, if any, collaboration have you done with other strength and conditioning coaches to spark ideas, or how far back have you had to go in your training to kind of get some Herschel Walker type things and body weight things for these guys to do to get a little bit creative?
Yeah, I mean, I've been calling a lot of the coaches that I've worked with in the past and definitely, what are you guys doing? What do you think of this? And throwing ideas around. I said earlier that, one of my first stops was Harvard, and we had I was the low man on the totem pole, so I had a lot of the unique teams. And with that, a lot of those athletes would do some unique internships in some remote areas, being at Harvard. And so our take-home programs over the summer were always, you had to include a body weight section of it or a, makeshift, workout. So I just, I had that background and immediately just went to some of the things that I had done there. And I picked goals that I wanted to achieve during this time at home and then worked around that as far as exercise selection and kind of I knew the situation they would be in and what they had access to. So it wasn't too hard as far as shaping that. I kept to the template that they're looking at home is the same template they have here for individualized cards. And we just rolled out a program that my staff and I thought would fit the needs of the goal.
And then as a follow-up, I've seen a lot of players posting various things on Instagram. One player was jumping through sand like long jumps. Another player was doing squats with cases of water on each shoulder, things like that. Have any of your players in particular sent things like that to you to show what they're doing through video and kind of connected that way to inspire each other? Like, I'm pushing a truck. What you doing over there?
Yeah. We're doing, everyone's on the chats and we do them and they can see each other, and we kind of give them a little bit more structure to it with what we want them doing. So some of those like challenge things are great. I think that with our guys are doing a set workout, it puts them in a really good spot. And like I said, I'll unmute a lot of guys and let them kind of take over the motivation. We did conditioning together on Friday, and just unmuting guys and letting them kind of, you can hear each other and kind of push each other. I think that's been a really positive thing as far as keeping that motivation where, it's a set workout, it's a program, and the guys value that, where it's not just novelty things. We're on a progression, and I think the guys just being all on one chat has been extremely motivating.
Thank you.
We'll go to Luke.
Coach, who have been those guys who stepped up as leaders in the Zoom calls?
Yeah, Patrice Renee, he's an animal. He was our lifter of the year last year. He's absolutely incredible. Sam Howell has stepped up huge and a big piece of getting everyone on board from the offense. Those two have kind of been the main piece of it, and really just kind of being as vocal. Michael Carter has been outstanding, and then Javante Williams as well. So those guys have been huge. And the two Fox brothers were the first ones to, when we set up the time, we all started warming up, and then everyone started doing the single leg, and those two went to a squat rack. So that was pretty awesome. It was just we didn't really plan it. We kind of wanted everyone doing the same thing. And then as we kind of got organized, but those two guys weren't about to do a single leg bag workout. They were squatting. So we kind of reshaped everything and said, hey, if you're going to be at the gym, just warm up with us and then start squatting, going through the program. And that was, the Fox brothers are animals.
And quick follow-up. Greg mentioned about kind of the health and safety concerns of players and how long you like to have them before they're playing in the first game. Is there a situation you could foresee where the NCAA would rush to get a season underway, and you would see it being disastrous for player injuries, that they're not prepared on a strength level to compete in these high-level games, and you would talk to other strength coaches to potentially bring that up to the NCAA? I'm curious about that schedule if they're not ready and you really have big concerns for injuries.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, as we push forward, kind of start to evaluate that. I think we're far enough out, 5 months, where we're not in that situation now. And I think as we got closer, the NCAA has done a good job of some of the different things that they've talked about as far as not doing some of the out-of-conference games and potentially pushing things back to allow for more training. But we're in a good spot now. We're so far out. But I think those conversations are already happening with those, with the NCAA. So as we got closer to that, I think that would be something where Mac's very vocal in the athlete safety, and he would be pushing for the things that we discussed as we got closer. But I think now we're in a good spot, and I know they are. It seems like they're already having that those conversations and planning for that.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Remember, gang, let's not get too far down the road in hypotheticals here, because none of us really know what's going to happen. So I don't want Brian or any of the coaches that we make available to kind of be speaking for anyone other than Coach Brown, since he's the one that's in direct contact with that stuff. So just be mindful of that when you're reporting. We'll go to Aaron. Aaron, hang tight here a second. All right, go ahead, Aaron.
Hey, Brian. You were mentioning guys may not have equipment, that you've had to be creative with that. I'm curious about like maybe the nutritional element. I mean, I'm sure that's something you're always thinking about when you've got them there on campus. I don't know how that works in this kind of situation, whether it's guidelines or conversations you're having with guys, or if it's something that's not really able to control that part of it.
Yeah, we always have an education piece to our nutrition, and we've done a great job, throughout the entire, year of just educating the guys on good decisions with their food. And as they go through the training table, we're educating them as well. This past off season, we did plate checks at every meal. So the kid would get their food, and then they'd go to the dietitian, and she would check the plate, give them recommendations. So I think that alone just educated the guys a lot on what is a good meal. You know, what does a good plate look like? What's a good plate look like specifically for them? So when they're at home, they have the idea of how to shape their plate for those goals because they haven't changed. And I think that education is what's going to kind of carry them with this time at home.
Anything to follow up with, Aaron?
Well, yeah, just kind of quickly, you're kind of seeing examples of what guys are doing from a, exercise standpoint. Is there anything you guys are doing, I guess, in that nutritional part to monitor or keep tabs or ask questions, I guess?
Yeah, we send out a weekly survey that the guys fill out, and we have them put down their body weight so that the dietitian can get an idea of make sure they're still trending towards their goals. And then just, some general questions on, are they having any problems nutritionally? Is there anything that they need? And just trying to, but yeah, it's 100%. That's a tough thing with this setup, but yeah, trying to do everything we can from that standpoint.
Ross Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is not really related to the quarantine and this time period, but since we have you here, what was the biggest change you had to make with the players and kind of the program when you got to UNC beginning of 2019? What things do you have to go through to alter, to change, to motivate, to once you got here, obviously you were going to make some changes.
Yeah. We have I think a very unique team where they're incredibly motivated. So when I come into a program, I just roll with my program. I don't try to do anything novel or anything to try to set a stage. I just do my program, and I have a very high standard, and I just roll out with that. And I think that the guys could see how it was going to benefit them. I think they valued a lot of the mobility, the warm up, and then just how the lift was structured towards getting them to be the best athlete that we could possibly make. So there wasn't anything that I needed to do. I rolled out my program and I ran it as hard as I could. And the kids bought in. So there was no phase where I needed to establish, who I was. I just ran my program, and we have such good character. The guys have bought in, and then we haven't had an issue.
Yeah, and so what do you think differentiates your program from other coaches around the country? Obviously, everybody does things differently, but players talked about a lot of new things they were going through last spring and preseason camp.
Yeah, I think a lot of the position-specific work, then having the different levels for training age, I think that was all new to them. Coaches do things differently, so just the different structure of things that I had and how I utilized my staff, it was just different. So for them, they had never seen it, set up like that, and they bought into it.
Kiera, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. One of my concerns, or one of the things that I've been thinking of is, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Mentally, I know you're dealing with strength and conditioning, but how are you helping with your student athletes mentally preparing for all this? And I know some of the kids are in not admirable situations, and just keeping their mind focused on the team and what's to come, keeping them kind of focused on other things in their current situations.
Yeah, I think having the structure has been huge. And, my staff talked about it. And, when we set up that first training session, we knew we were going to go all out as far as, I blowing a whistle, just starting it off with when we start a training session, I'll just walk into the middle of the room. There's always a clock, and I'll just stare at it, waiting for to click over to 3 o'clock. And then I just start hammering the whistle and yelling, grit it up. And as get closer and there's 1 minute left, the guys start, jockeying for space and kind of getting geared up. And we ran it just like a normal session. I think we pulled out the whistle and started going on a Zoom chat training session. I think that was kind of just to get back in that routine and kind of have that piece of their life back was a huge help to them. And then again, we're doing those check-ins where we send them out a questionnaire each week, and we ask for that and ask for things that they need, and you get a good feel for that. But I think just giving them back their training and kind of still going in the direction of their big goals as far as having a great season and going to the next level, I think that's been a huge help.
Anything further, Kiera?
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. I got you, Jared.
Hey, Coach, just wondering, because you said how few percentage of guys are working out with physical weights right now. Was wondering if you'll see any wholesale changes, do you think, when you get back to full-time weights? Do you expect guys that are maybe, used to benching 450 pounds or so to be stronger pound for pound in that mentality?
We're going to have to, our progression will change. I think we're just because they haven't been benching. So I think our progression for a lot of things will have to be a little bit pulled back, and we'll have to make sure that we have a good progression back into our full training. But, I think right now we're just trying to stay as far ahead as we can with having that foundation of strength, having that foundation of conditioning. So when they get back, we can start at a good spot and then run into our normal progressions. But yeah, I won't be able to start the summer like I normally would have started the summer from a strength and conditioning standpoint.
Could that be good for guys in a sense, though, that they carry their body weight better, that they handle their own body, since they're basically working out with just their body weight at this point? Could that be beneficial at any point?
I think our big guys are definitely going to benefit from the volume of single leg work we've done. But with our skill and combo, our program is designed for that, where we want them to be as explosive as possible with body weight. That's what acceleration and change of direction is. So we're always geared towards relative strength, and that's always a huge focus of ours. But like I said, I think some of our guys will benefit from that much stability work. But I think, the way we program and the equipment we have and the goals we have, this is definitely ideal, and the things that Coach Brown has provided for the staff puts us in such a good position when we're here. But yeah, there will be benefits from a lot of that single leg work and a lot of the posterior chain work that we're doing, where it will allow us to come back into our training at a higher level.
Jonathan, go ahead.
Just a quick question. With the guys doing the two different programs, when you have the Zoom workouts, are you working them out at different times? Yeah.
No, we're going together. So my whole staff we got a computer set up so you can see 25 guys. So once we start rolling, the guys who are on the bodyweight program are on my whistle. So first set, whistle. Second set, whistle. And those who are at a gym, they're just going to roll through it. But we're watching the whole time and scrolling through and coaching. So we see them training, but we're not at a separate time, just because we still have to work around class schedules.
Thank you.
Andrew, go ahead.
Whenever it is that you get the guys back, what do you anticipate your primary concern being, something that you'll immediately have to address with them?
I think building back the foundation of strength. I think immediately kind of attacking that and getting back, because we want to be as powerful as possible going into the season, but having a great foundation of strength. That's what we spent the 8 weeks of winter building, so that they can lead into the next phase. Just making sure we reestablish that strength that they had built, so that we can start getting back into those different things that are going to help create power. So explosive movements, pairing plyos with heavy movements and things like that. But we just need to reestablish that strength, reestablish our technique, and then we'll progress forward. So, it might just be having a 3 to 4 week block where we reevaluate strength and touch back on it before going into that power training.